Over the past couple of weeks, there has been a lot of news out of Washington. Also, a lot of overheated political theater. To help us sort out which is which, I recently spoke with the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and my friend, Senator Lindsey Graham. Take a look. Senator, delighted to have you with me. I want to begin talking about the infamous squad. The president seems to have gotten himself in an incredible battle. Help us all understand some historical framework for a president having it out with four freshman congresswomen.
I don't know if there's any historical precedent for what Donald Trump has gone through since he's been elected. The problem is they wanted to impeach him the same day they got sworn in, before Mueller even issued his report. So the problem is that the four people he's arguing with hate his guts. They don't recognize he's president, and he's fighting back, and their agenda for America would destroy our economy. And to our friends in Israel, that would be the end of Israel as we know it. So I'm glad the president's fighting back. Just don't make it personal, make it about policy.
I'm glad you brought up Israel. I just was there last week. There's some real anxiety, understandably so, that if something were to happen to President Trump, Israel doesn't have the friend that it currently has. And I think they all recognize how critically important this president has been in bringing some stability to the Middle East and specifically to Israel. It's near and dear to your heart. Explain to our audience why this truly does matter.
Common values and common enemies. Israel's a democracy, we're a democracy. Israel's religiously tolerant, so are we. You can have your say in America, no matter what your background. Same in Israel. It's the one place, Mike, I feel safe visiting in the Mideast as a Christian. They've done a great job of protecting Christian holy sites and every other religious sites. Common enemies. Name one group that wants to destroy Israel that doesn't want to destroy us. Iran is trying to develop a nuclear bomb, not a power plant. They will use it against Israel unless somebody stops them. Donald Trump is standing up to the Ayatollah, who's a religious Nazi. There's so much at stake in this election. For us to stay safe here at home against radical Islam, we got to have a strong military, and we got to keep our foot on their throat, or they'll come here again. And when it comes to Israel, if somebody doesn't stop Iran, Israel's in a world of hurt. And this is why I like the president so much.
How much pressure has the president put on Iran, and what's been the effect of it to try to bring them to their senses, if that's possible?
Well, one, he's brought them to their knees economically. You know, I grew up in South Carolina, and my dad had a restaurant and a bar, and I grew up in the back. And the one thing I learned is if a guy's threatened to cut your throat, don't buy him a knife. Given the Ayatollah $150 billion was the dumbest thing in history. He's took the money to dismember the Mideast, to build up his military. And so their economy is in a nosedive because of the sanctions. The president's put them in a real box. He's willing to work with them, but here's what I tell you a good deal looks like. They can have nuclear power, but they can't enrich or reprocess, because when they tell you they don't want to bomb, they're lying. And here's what I believe. If the Ayatollah had a nuclear bomb, he would use it against the Arabs and the Israelis, and we can never let that happen.
You mentioned impeachment earlier. I want to get right back to that, because, I mean, there's not one of the million chances that the U.S. Senate would ever actually remove Donald Trump. So what's the point of the House even threatening this sword over the head of the president?
They're driven by hatred of this president. They're out to get him. And there are 31 Democrats who represent congressional districts that Donald Trump won. If they vote for impeachment, we take back the House. If they don't vote for impeachment, they probably get a primary. So this is a nightmare for the Democratic Party, and it would be terrible for this president of the country to go through impeachment without any real evidence to justify it.
Senator, I've actually felt a little sorry for Nancy Pelosi. I can't believe I'm saying that, but my gosh, she's having trouble controlling four freshmen. I mean, this has never happened to a speaker that I can ever remember.
Well, we've had our moments as Republicans, but when you add up what these four members of Congress want to do, they want to impeach the president. They want to take your health care away from you. They want to basically side with those who want to destroy Israel rather than with Israel. The Green New Deal means there's no way to get to Hawaii unless you can swim, or, I guess take a rowboat. The bottom line is their agenda is really radical, and it's driven by hatred of this president. Trump's going to win. And one of the reasons he's going to win is that the face of the Democratic agenda is now represented by these 4 female members of Congress who are way out of touch with the American people.
There's been very little progress on immigration, even though the president, more than a year ago, sat down and basically offered an extraordinary opportunity to resolve DACA in exchange for a very modest contribution toward border security. Will anything happen before the election? Or are we just going to have to suck it up and wait till after 2020?
I think some things can happen and must happen. It's no longer an option regarding our border. We're on track to have 1 million people come here illegally, most of them from Central America. If we don't change our laws, Mike, this never stops. If you bring a small child to our border from Central America, we have to release the entire family after 20 days. That's not enough time to adjudicate the case. If you claim asylum coming from Central America, your hearings 2 or 3 years down the road, nobody ever shows up. My bill would require asylum claims to be made in the home country of Mexico, not in the United States. And my bill would allow the Department of Homeland Security to have time to adjudicate a claim involving a minor so we don't have to release them. Finally, I just got back from the El Paso sector. We released 52,000 people already this year because we don't have enough space to hold them. We don't want to separate families, so we let them go. I want to adjudicate families, not separate them. We need to change our laws. I think that's possible because if we don't, we're going to lose complete control of the border.
Senator, we've known each other a long time. My final question, are you having fun yet?
I'm having the most fun that the law would allow as a politician in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump has made my day. He's been a really good president on the things that I care about, conservative judges, a strong military. The bottom line is I'm enjoying myself immensely because with President Trump, anything and everything is possible.
Well, we've enjoyed having you. Hope to do it again. Thanks, and keep the faith and keep the fight. Our thanks to Senator Lindsey Graham for joining us, and we wish him well in working across the aisle without having to wear a suit of armor. By the way, you can keep up the latest news on the senator at lgraham.senate.gov. Also on Twitter at Lindsey Graham SC.